I've been having a hard time making a distinction. I think we dichotomize like motor skill acquisition and also
Yeah.
just physiological adaptation of strength. We must kind of separate those things. But now, more and more, I'm starting to think of strength as a skill itself. And the way that you're describing it is like it's not just, and you said it, you just said it. It's not just about the mechanical stress. It's also about your attention. And if we're automatic with things, and my understanding of automaticity is when you become fully automated, you are no longer learning. You're just bringing what you have to the table and you're working with that. Now, maybe you're world class and what you're bringing on an automatic scale is top notch and it's going to crush everybody else's. But if you want to pull back and hone in on a particular skill or whatever, or a strategy, you have to back up a little bit and put more deliberate practice into it. And then that becomes automatic, and that maybe levels up your automaticity or whatever that attractor is. And so maybe what you just described is kind of that in strength training, where you pull back enough to where now you have to pay attention, be a little bit more deliberate with what you're doing in your practice. And then that you build, that starts to be a little bit automatic. And maybe in this case, automatic means leveling off or hitting that peak, pull back again, have to pay attention because it's new.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. I don't know.
I think you see this with lifters and technique. There's kind of this perception among novice and intermediate lifters that at some point you achieve this technical perfection and that it's automatic. You don't even think about it anymore. But the people that I know who've been doing this the longest still tinker with their technique. What if I turn my foot a little bit more this way or that way? Oh no, that felt worse, so I'll go back to the other way of doing it. Like, they still are paying attention to that stuff and they're still tinkering with it. It's never complete, and I think that process of always revisiting, always paying attention, because like you said, John, like the stuff that you learned 2 years ago may not apply anymore. It used to hurt when I do this. Maybe it doesn't hurt anymore, or there's so many different things that can happen, and you've got to just revisit the territory. The territory is changing, and if you're only looking at your map, you've got to refresh the map.
We see that with weightlifting a lot as far as tinkering with their movement patterns. We'll have lifters say, my front squat and my back squat stance are different. My snatch and my clean and jerk start positions are different. And it's almost perceived as a problem. And, we'll watch the movements. If we deem it that it's sustainable and something that they can work with, we're like, cool, just kind of let your body run with it. And we'll maybe throw that expectation in that it just shifted to a more narrow stance for this block. Don't be surprised if it reverts back to a wider stance at some point for whatever reason. And it's just doing what it does. I think it's the drastic changes over time that, like, if you come into a new coach and they're like completely change your technique in a very drastic way, maybe that's not necessarily what we're looking for, but it's like your body starts to just find solutions and self-organize itself over time. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the change in coach is just like an environmental constraint. I mean, just like we're talking about a change in a gym or change in a particular type of movement, you see that and it forces the brain to create another solution, and it's just adding different constraints through time.